here, if you notice this little space where I'm pointing right here, if you look at the other side, coming around here, oh my God, there's something that should be there. It should be one of these over there. You know what happened though, Kevin? Oh, I got this now. So what happened, Kevin, is this morning, as I was loading stuff in here, these struts are one of the horrible points about this 350Z. These little hood strut guys here, they like to go out really easy, and then when it's cold, they like to lose compression.
Because this thing weighs about 100 pounds, probably.
Probably, yeah. So when it gets cold, these things lose compression, and then when you're digging through here, like sticking your head in here like I am right now, this thing comes down here, and this little jagged corner here whacks you in the back of the head. And sure enough, I got so angry, hold that for a second, I got so angry, I swung my arm like this and broke this thing right off, and it came completely out. Which is good, I guess. Basically, I just knocked this little pivot ball out, and I kind of broke this little pivot ball things with little clips. I was afraid I'd actually damaged these, which would have sucked, but I think I'm good with that. Kevin was making fun of me the other day because looks like I've got some what I call redneck engineering here. I broke one of my hatch struts, so I had to get a board from a pile of timber behind my house and makeshift something to hold this hatch up. And these are my hatch struts. They came in off of, I bought these on Amazon. They were about less than $40 for the pair. I didn't want to go too crazy and get any super expensive ones because I'm not going to have any kinds of crazy wings or any kind of crazy weight on my hatch. It's all factory, so I went with the cheap Amazon stuff. It's got these little bolts here, and it's got the little clips here. And hopefully this weekend I'll be able to make a video and show you how easy it is to do this. It's so easy even Ferg can do it. So up next in the section of the channel that I like to call the Stuff So Easy That Even Ferg Can Do It segment of it, I'm going to be replacing the hatch struts on my Z. So the hatch struts come in a kit that I bought online for like $36 with shipping and everything, and they came with these little hinge joints. They came with these little ball pivot joints, and of course the main the hatch strut shaft. These are actually easy to do, and I was super surprised when one of my friends did them for me last time they went out. They said it was so easy, and I couldn't figure out how, and then when I looked it up and started figuring out how to do it myself, I was like, dude, this is kind of easy. So we're going to go ahead and try and do this, and hopefully it works, and hopefully I can keep from having to use a 2x4 to hold my hatch open, and it doesn't come and hit me in the head whenever I'm trying to, do stuff in there. We're going to go to the car right now and go over a few tools, and I'm going to show you what tools you need, and hopefully we can get my head camera unit working without sounding so staticky, because before when I tried to use the head camera, I guess the wind kept hitting it. It sounded kind of staticky. But we're going to give this a shot and see if we can't get this hatch strut put together. And so here we are in the hatch of the car. As you can see, of course, from previous videos, this is my redneck engineered support system for my 350Z. And this is one of the older ones here on the other side here. This one's a little weak, and of course that one I broke off over here. This one over here I broke off in a fit of rage because this thing came and hit me in the face. Oh, that just pulls off apparently. Well, I guess you could pull this off and twist this and pull it off and get that out of the way. Hey, that's even better. Let me do that on this side too. It should be able to just, oh yeah, I could just twist and pull this guy off too, huh? There we go. Come on. Alright, there we go. You're out of the way. That gives me so much more space to do that. Okay, note to self. Those little squishy things, they apparently come off, so you can make this a little bit easier for yourself. And the tools that we need, or the tools that I have that I'm going to use for this, is a couple of wrenches. Tools that I have are a couple of wrenches to do this. I've got, of course, a, what is this, a 13, I think? Yeah, this is a 13 millimeter. And the 13 millimeter is going to be for this top bolt once you get to it. You see that little top bolt right there? That 13 is going to be for that top bolt right there once you get to it. And the 10 millimeter is going to be for those two on that hinge joint right down there. So on this side, I didn't really think about it, but I'm probably going to have to get a little screwdriver and figure out a way to remove this little clip to pop this side of the strut support off. On the other side, since the strut was completely missing and I had knocked it off, I guess I took the easy way out and broke it off, and I didn't realize there's probably a little bit more of a process to get these things off than I thought. So I'm going to dig through this toolbox here and grab a flathead and see if we can't figure out how to take this thing off. So yeah, on this guy right in here, I took this little flathead right here and I was wiggling it, and this little ring here popped right out. So I think this strut support should come off if I kind of wiggle it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and try and take that off. So now this is where it gets a little interesting here. So now this guy right here, he's going to use the 13 inch, and you just twist that off. And then use the 10mm to get these guys off here in this little part here. So give me a second while I loosen those and we'll take these off. Okay, we managed to get these loose, so I'll just untighten these by hand now. Kind of sucks, as of course, you know, I couldn't find my 10mm socket. I can only find my 10mm wrench. But thank goodness for these little box end wrenches where you can just kind of twist them off like this. I don't know what I would have done without this thing. This thing is awesome. Now, of course, these are going to be a little stuck in here because of all the dirt and grime and all the moisture and condensation and all the mess that gets in there. So these might be stuck on here pretty good. So you want to keep account for that. There it goes. Got that side off. So let me continue to work these off, and then we'll install the other one next. And now I've got this guy up here loose here, and we're just going to twist him off here. So we're just going to twist this guy off. Got this guy off here. And then we're going to put the new ones on. And what do I do with those new ones here? Actually, here you are. So this new one is going to go in here, like so. And all we're going to do is twist, and then I'll tighten it down later. Just twist that into place like that. And just tighten it a couple times with the wrench here. Tighten it a couple times with this. This would have been a lot better with a... this probably would have been a lot better with a socket, but this was all I had. But it works. Sometimes you gotta just do what you gotta do with what you got, you know. So I'm gonna tighten that guy down. There we go. And the next thing we're gonna do is put this guy on over here. Yeah, I thought this thing came with bolts. Hey, where'd my bolts go? How odd. I may have to reuse these old bolts because I didn't find the bolts for this one. That's interesting. I can't find the bolts for this one. I thought I had bolts for it. I'll just use the old bolts. Sometimes you gotta use the old bolts for these things. But yeah, this guy's in place now. I went ahead and I screwed him in and put him in place, tightened him down. And then now we're going to take these two holes over here. And these two holes is where we're gonna put this other one here. So here's a weird thing about doing this process that I cannot believe. See this little washer here in my hands, this little plastic guy here? This goes in between the frame of the hatch, and it goes underneath this guy like this. So it goes underneath this guy and in between the bracket, and it goes onto the frame of the hatch in between there. It's a little gasket. Nissan does not have a part number for this, and this part does not exist anywhere in Nissan's inventory. I've gone to several dealerships and got diagrams and parts diagrams, and this little guy here doesn't come with any of the kits that you buy, and Nissan doesn't have a part number for it. So I'm like, well, WTF? What in the world am I supposed to do? Luckily, the other one was pretty good, and on the other side, I just reused this old one and kind of just cleaned it up a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to clean this one up a little bit and kind of clean some of that up, and then put this thing back on. So another thing you want to keep in mind when you put this on, I'm doing this all kind of one-handed because I don't trust the head camera because it doesn't always go where I look and I move my head around a lot. But on these, what you want to make sure to remember on these is this little part has to go up. This little archway here, this little arch here has to be pointing up towards the sky there. If you have it pointing down, this really won't work. So I'm just tightening these with my fingers, and I'm going to tighten them up with the bolts, and then we're going to put the other one back on here in a second. Alrighty, so now that part is over with. So I've managed to secure and bolt down this hinge here, and I've bolted down this main stud up here at the top. So now all I gotta do is put this hatch strut on. And the way you put it on is fairly easy. So the little thin part up here with this little pivot joint up here, everything from the main body up to this point here goes up here on the top, and then this fat bottom part with the main part down here goes on the bottom. So what you'll want to do, the way I do it, is I put down on the bottom first On this one, you can just press this in and it should just pop into place like that. And then from here, you just kind of angle it, and you may have to lift up a little bit on this hood here, like so, and then put in that bottom part there, like that. And there you go. This hatch is now fixed. I fixed something. This is great. My mechanic, Crespo, he'd be so proud. He'd be excited, like, Ferg, you fixed something, or at least until it breaks, and then I have to take it to him to fix it right. But hopefully this is something simple that any of y'all can do. Pretty cheap, and it's one of those do-it-yourselfer kind of things. I'm always going to use the guys over at Controlled Chaos. They're always going to work on this car, but every now and then I like to feel a little good and like to do something myself. Why not? It's your car. If you fix something, it's the greatest feeling in the world. You feel like I do right now. Best of all, this hatch will not come down and hit me in the head when I try and take something out. It's going to be great. Alright folks, so there you have it. Stuff so easy even Ferg can do. Hatch struts. There's one more thing I may have discovered that I think I found a solution to for some of you out there that own a 350Z. Sometimes, when you close your hatch, have you ever noticed how when you close your hatch and you close it all the way? Let me actually drop this down really good. But when you close it all the way, when it's like this, sometimes when you press this button back here, the hatch doesn't pop all the way up. It gets stuck halfway. On mine would just pop a little bit and I'd have to actually physically pull it up. But since I've replaced these hood struts, watch this. It pops up all the way. So now it can open completely. So if you have that problem where you where your hatch doesn't pop up all the way, like it gets stuck and doesn't pop up all the way like that, that is probably because you have weak hatch struts. Watch this. I'm gonna do it again. It pops all the way open and I can just grab it. This is great. I think I fixed that problem too, because for the longest time I had that problem where the hatch doesn't pop up all the way from the opening. And I think this new hatch struts that I put on here fixed that issue for me. So that's another thing you gotta look out for if you own a 350Z.